In this video, I will be going over questions 3, 7, 8, and 10 off your review for tomorrow's test. On question 3, our first step is going to be to distribute, which means our 0.75 will be multiplied with the x, giving us 0.75x. And then we're also going to multiply that 0.75 with the 20, and that gives us a 5. And you can use your calculator to assist. On the right side, my 2 is going to stay. However, my 0.5 is going to be distributed, so that's going to give us 0.5x. And then 0.5 times negative 2 is a negative 1. Our next step is going to be to combine like terms. We look over on the left. These are not like terms because the first term has a variable where the second does not. Over on the right side, I have my 2 and my minus 1 can be combined. So 2 minus 1 is 1. Everything else is going to stay the same. So I'm just going to bring it down because those were taken care of. On the left, I haven't changed anything, so those terms are going to stay the same as well. Our next step is going to be to get the variables on the same side. I have my 0.75x and my 0.5x. I need them on the same side. I'm going to choose to move my 0.5x, and the way I'm going to do that is by using an inverse operation. And whenever you're doing those inverse operations, whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. That makes my 0.5x's on the right cancel out. However, I still have a 1. Over on the left, I'm left with 0.25x plus 15. We almost have the x term by itself. We need to move the 15 over, inverse operation. So it's minus 15 on both sides. That's going to leave us with 0.25x on the left is equal to negative 14 on the right. Last step is going to be to divide everything by that 0.25. And that gives us our final answer, x is equal to negative 56. This next one, once again, we're going to need to distribute. The 4 is outside the parentheses, so we're not going to mess with the 4. However, this negative 5, so I'm taking the sign in front, it's going to be multiplied to the x, making it a minus 5x. It's also going to be distributed to the 1, making it a minus 5. I do not have any parentheses over on the right, so I'm going to bring those terms down. Our next step is going to be to combine like terms, which would be my 4 and my 5. I'm going to take the sign in front, so this reads as 4 minus 5. Same side, so I'm not changing any signs. That becomes a negative 1. My minus 5x is still there, and the right side has not changed either. Next, I want to get my variables on the same side. I have my minus 5x, my minus 3x. I need them on the same side. I'm going to go ahead and move my negative 3x. The way I do that is by using the inverse operation. So I add 3x to both sides. This is going to leave me with a negative 1 minus 2x is equal to 2. Almost through. My 2x is almost isolated. I need to get rid of my negative 1, so I do that by adding 1 to both sides. This will leave me with a negative 2x equals 3. Our final step to separate the negative 2x is to divide. So both sides get divided by the negative 2, which leaves me with x equals 3 over negative 2 as my answer. Remember, while you're taking your test tomorrow, you can always go back and check your answers by substituting what you solved for in place of the x. And you should get a true statement. On this question number 8, we are going to follow the same steps. First step would be to distribute. There's no parentheses, so we do not need to distribute. Our second step is going to be to combine our like terms. and we see our 10x and our minus 7x are on the same side. So we're going to bring them together using the same signs. So this would be 10x minus 7x, giving us a 3x. The plus 12 is still there, and the equals 24 is also still there. Next step is going to be to subtract the 12 from both sides. We're subtracting because that's the inverse, and we're going from one side of the equal sign to the other. That's going to leave us with 3x over on the left because my 12x's cancel out to a 0 is equal to 12. And then to separate my 3 and x, we have to remember multiplying is being applied, so the inverse is to divide. That makes my 3's reduce out to a 1, leaving us with 1x, or x is equal to 4. For number 10, the length of a rectangle is x plus 5. So remember, a rectangle has 2 lengths. The next step is telling us the width is x minus 3. So once again, we have 2 widths. Then it tells us that to find the value of x, given the perimeter is equal to 40. So perimeter means add up all the sides. So I have to add up my 2 lengths as well as my 2 widths. When I do that, I get 40. So 40 is going to be equal to my 2 lengths. So my x plus 5 and my x plus 5. X plus another x gives me 2x. And then x, my 5 plus another 5 gives me a plus 10. My width, my 2 widths, x plus x is 2x. And my minus 3 is a negative 6. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and solve. So we want to combine our like terms. So I combine my 2x's together to give me a 4x. I'm also going to combine my 10 minus 6 to give me a plus 4. This is equal to 40. And then we're going to go ahead and use those inverse operations. I'm going to subtract my 4 from both sides. That's going to leave me with 36 equals 4x. And then divide both sides by 4. And that's going to leave me with my answer, x equals 9. Just be careful in your test because it's not asking here for the x value. It wants to know the dimensions. So we're going to have to go ahead and take this x value of 9, substitute it in place. So this means I have 9 plus 5, which gives me 14. So my length has a value of 14 centimeters. And then my width, same thing, I'm going to take my value of 9 and put it in place of x. So that's going to give me 9 minus 3, which is 6, which means I have a width equal to 6 centimeters.